resourceful.
Family.
I started at the Child Development Center in August of 1988, and we were in St. Paul's United Methodist Church. We were renting facilities there where we had 2 to 5-year-olds, and I was a 2-year-old teacher there. And unbeknownst to me, actually, I guess that AS was providing funding to the Child Development Center even during the 80s. And I used to take groups of kids, and we would have our initiatives, trying to get more money for the Child Development Center. And actually, we were trying to build up a fund to build a center. For student parents, it's pretty impossible to go to school unless they can have affordable child care. The Child Development Center has always been about supporting struggling students. And I think that that fits perfectly with AS's mission, which is the same, is to support students at whatever point they're at in their life right now.
I started working for AS in 1994. My main responsibility is to manage the AS finance. AS had $2 million in budget. The total student organization fund managed by AS is over $900,000.
I was hired at AS as a student assistant my sophomore year in 2006, and I stayed at AS as a student employee for a few years, and then graduated and left the school altogether, and then came back in 2011 for my full-time position here. A lot of my work that I did here as a student was very PR related. We used to write press releases and send them to the Spartan Daily and Mercury News. And of course we did a lot of event planning, and this was before social media. This was maybe at the start of Facebook, and even back then we didn't even think for AS to have a Facebook. It was only for yourself. So you might use your own Facebook to tell people, hey, go to the football game.
So it's been about 5 years now. So I did 3 years on the board, and then I've been advising for about a year and a half. And I first started with University Advising Affairs, so I did that position for 2 years, and I really enjoyed it. And then my last year, I did Vice President and Chair of the Board, which I really, truly enjoyed. Having that experience of being on the board for 2 years and having different styles of leadership. So definitely being able to chair the board and give them that transition, and especially graduating, trying to leave that legacy of AS that I've learned from so many board members. So 3 years of board members, you get so many different ideas and experiences, and you get to learn, like, this is one of the things where you can put on a program, and if it's not successful, you go back to the drawing board and say, why was it not successful, and what can we do better later? So I think it's such a unique experience, so I always shared that. My last year,
in 1988, life was completely different on campus, more relaxed in those days. I think that there is a lot more pressure now for students, student parents, as well as students who are not parents. I just think overall there's a lot more pressure. The campus has built up. San Jose State used to be like the fallback campus. So if you lived here locally, high school students, they would apply other places, and oh well, if they didn't get in, they could always go to San Jose State. I will say that in the early 90s, when Alfonso was executive director, that we were trying to get an initiative passed that the students would vote on to give more money both to the Child Development Center and campus recreation. And we lost by, I think, 12
has really changed a lot, at least within our department for sure, how we interact with students. It was always such a struggle to get students to know what was happening. I think nowadays, now it's more about getting the word out on campus and using the channels that students use on a daily basis, like Instagram, emails, Twitter. We've really focused a lot on kind of the face-to-face marketing, making sure that we are at other people's events and setting up a tent and table every once in a while, making sure that students know that we're here for them and the events and programs and services that we do are for them. I feel like the students that I meet today are so strong in their advocacy and they're very aware of what's going on in the world. They're just more worldly. Now I meet these students that just have this much more broad view. They're much more in touch with politics and things that are going on in other countries and with other people's lives. And now I feel like we can be in anybody's room. We can be in anybody's living space just by sharing something online, and I think that the technology has just changed everything about the industry.
We provide banking services for the student organization on campus as a sport club. Currently, we have over 400 student organization accounts open with AS. We manage their deposit and disbursement. Also, we provide free accounting and bookkeeping services for them. Two major factors that affecting the revenue. The first one is constantly the board of directors propose fees referendum to increase our student activity fees. And secondly, the manager of each department try to increase their revenue by promoting a lot of services. Also develop a lot of other departments like marketing and events. This is in 2002, Computer Services Center, created in 2001, Caesar Service Community Action Center in 2005.
Well, I know Fire in the Fountain is the big one because you have a lot of people that, not only students, but you have alumni that come in supporting the homecoming royalty that may be there, and I know it's expanded, and especially with programming board, there's a lot more involvement with students and doing booths, so they can create like Spartan wear for the homecoming game and things like that. And you know, Spartan Squad kickoff was always something because you see a lot of students and you're like, well, you're educating them about AS, educating about the homecoming game, and bringing that Spartan spirit to new students, especially I think graduate students and transfer students. Having a night event like that is more open for students to be able to come. And I think a lot of the smaller events too that I think are very impactful, like the event on Veterans Day, AS Love Troops, things like that, I think is very awesome to have because we have a lot of students that come, and if they're not a veteran themselves, then maybe their family and things like that. So being able to have that connection and feel that support. It's a lot of events that happen like that, you know, and I think being on programming board, we had an event last year that was like a free hugs type of day, kind of around Valentine's time period, and it was really nice to just have students out there and giving free hugs and candy. And so I think a lot of those small events are ones that truly hit home for students because it's not so many students there and you don't feel overwhelmed and there's like not so much going on. They get that real connection with students and board members and student at-larges that are there. And I know the haunted house for AS has been really good. You have, you know, pulling people from housing and things like that to be able to come in a safe space during Halloween and be able to have that experience in the AS house, being an older house on campus as well. So having that, some of that history that they've tied into having AS be a haunted house too. So I think for me, as an alumni and as a student, I really enjoyed those.
I think the annual Fire on the Fountain has changed a lot since I saw it. It was given such a good foundation and it's just grown every year, and I feel like it might not have been like a single year or a single moment, but I feel like seeing the students at that event has kind of changed, whereas it used to just be students popping by like, oh, what's this? I guess I'll hang out. This is cool. Free popcorn. And now I hear students actually planning on going, and they talk about it ahead of time, and then they look forward to it. I think the biggest reason that I am proud to work for AS is because the people that work here because of the students. I don't necessarily think they work here for any other reason other than that they want to help students.
I think the most proud thing was being able to see myself grow through every single thing that AS provided me, from retreats to in-services to board meetings, and being able to get that education that was really priceless and invaluable. Being able to be a part of CSSA and go to CSU Unity and go to CSSA meetings once a month and go to a different university. To be able to see how they run, how their board structure is, how their university looks like, what they're going through.
Oh, I just feel proud of being a part of an organization that cares so much about students. And I live that in my daily life with all the students. We have more than 80 students that we employ at the Child Development Center every semester. And so I live that every day with the students that work with us and supporting them. And, you know, sometimes they're having a hard time. They might come to the office to talk about something, and it isn't always related to work. It might be something in their personal life, but we can be there to support a student in that way as well. And our student parents always say there's no way that they could go to college without the Child Development Center. And then we have a lot more employees' children now than we used to. So that is a change for us over the years. And when I tour a parent and they are just blown away by the quality of the Child Development Center, I am very proud. We're able to hire lead teachers that have bachelor degrees, and so we have a highly qualified staff. We have a good ratio because AS supports us, and that's important to the quality of life for the children, because the more caring adults that you have there, the better the quality of care is for the children.
I think it's always student involvement, you know, and having students engaged, especially when it comes to voting, and know and voting in the student government elections and AS elections. I think it's just having them see that it's important, and then their voices do matter, and one vote matters. 1 point can have someone win their board position or not. So I think it's been difficult with that because we have 33,000 students and they range of what kind of students we have on campus. Very lucky to be diverse, but then it's also difficult because we have a lot of transfer students, part-time students who only come at night, graduate students, students that didn't have the traditional pathway, so they didn't come straight from even a community college or from high school. So some of them have a different experience here. So it's been difficult, I think, to gain that student engagement and gain kind of, you know, your same students that go to all the same events and things like that.
I think our challenge is to tap into students, and maybe it goes beyond awareness. Maybe it's also understanding what they want and what they need. And I think we do an okay job surveying, you know, every few years, making sure that we're on the right track. But I think it's a challenge to read people's minds. I think we do student learning the best. I think we have a lot of opportunities here at SJSU that outside of AS too, but just student jobs, volunteer positions, board positions, leadership, events, volunteering, all the above. I think that students get a real world experience when they interact with associated students.
AS is about kindness and caring. AS is about encouraging students, supporting students. AS is about sustainability, and AS is about discovering the needs that students have, like for instance, the program to provide food for students that don't have food. And I was just involved in a visioning session, and one of the groups So we were supposed to come up, with our vision for AS, like, what would they say about us? I think it was I don't know if it was 2020 or something like that. One of the groups came up with an idea that just blew me away, which was AS building a temporary housing, like a homeless shelter sort of, for students that are temporarily homeless. What an awesome idea, and it fits in perfectly because those are the kinds of things that AS cares about. How can a student go to class if they're trying to live in their car and they have no food, right? So AS cares about supporting the whole student, not just the academic part, but what about all the rest of your life?
I think my dream AS, what I would love to see AS do and be, is the organization on campus that students are clamoring to be a part of. Like, I would love for students to duke it out, not physically, but really make the effort to be involved and fight for a spot on the board or fight for a spot, as a student assistant, or fight for a spot at an event. Really put effort into it and have AS be the place where students want to be and look forward to be and, make the effort to be.
I know AS has grown so much, and I just see more growth within the departments and having more student involvement and more students engaged. I think the more hard work we put into everything, what the strategic plan is and what our visions are, really getting those students in and getting them involved, improving our voter turnout when it comes to the AS Board of Directors elections and really having that. And I think having more things show up on the voting application, whether it's student fees or support or things they want to see on campus. So I think a lot of outreach for students so that all of our programs can improve and really enhance what they already do. Because we have a lot of amazing programs in AS that do amazing things, but I think the more feedback we get from students, the more we can improve and be really strong on campus.
AS is going above and beyond, caring about everybody's need. I think AS definitely has a culture of service and a culture of caring.
I think really geared towards students being involved in AS and staff is once you enter the AS family, it truly changes you. Me, when I entered, I was, like I said, I was a commuter student and not really connected to campus, didn't really feel at home. My grades weren't doing too well and I was struggling. And once I found AS, I had a goal. I had a purpose. It was to advocate and to serve for students, and it was keeping my GPA up. So I improved my grades, and being able to be Director of University Advising Affairs, I learned about all my resources that could have helped me when I was really struggling. And so I think that's why I became so passionate about it.
I would like to say that even though AS had gone through a lot of obstacles, many ups and downs, and financial crisis through the years that I'm here, but we were able to overcome all these difficulties because we have an awesome, cohesive team that's working for us.
For future students, I would say that when you become a student at San Jose State, come to AS and check it out, because that's a place that you're going to be supported in your college experience, where if you need someone to talk to or you need just something to make your life fun, that's where you're going to find it. And so come to AS your first semester and check it out and be a part of AS your whole college life.